In a normal year, I'd be ordering a giant turkey and figuring out how to fit 22 people around our dining table right about now, a table that fits 14. The cooking would soon start and my family would be vying over space in the kitchen. This year, however, we're all crammed into the kitchen on a daily basis, cooking 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, and our Thanksgiving will be very different. I'm sure this sounds all too familiar. I think I've spent more time at home this year than I have in the past 20 years combined. Just this morning, I realized that my watch stopped, I think, in June. One silver lining of the pandemic, though we can't gather in person, at least in this digital age, we can expand our horizons with virtual art exhibits, films, concerts, and even workouts. At Home and Design, we've launched these monthly chats to connect our readers in the design community so we can strike up inspiring conversations about design and architecture. This morning, I'm thrilled to welcome the principals of Solis Betancourt Sherrill. Jose Solis Betancourt has had a lifelong interest in art and architecture. Growing up in San Juan, Puerto Rico, he dedicated his spare time to drawing and painting, developing skills that would serve him well as an architecture student at Cornell. In 1990, he established his own firm. Paul Morgan Sherrill, who hails from North Carolina, attributes his love of art and design to his grandparents, who were painters and weavers. Paul graduated with honors from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro with degrees in art and human and environmental sciences. Paul joined Solis Betancourt Sherrill in 1992. Since then, Jose and Paul have completed countless residences in the DC area and beyond. Recent projects have taken them to Puerto Rico, East Hampton, Telluride, Palm Beach, and Mallorca. Regardless of a client's style, their work always conveys a sense of elegance and timeless beauty. I know you'll find these designers as talented and charming as I do now. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Jose Solis Betancourt and Paul Sherrill.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you for
Good
having us.
morning. How are you both doing?
Great, thank you.
That's great. So Paul, you're joining us from your the library of your office.
Correct.
And Jose is at his home in DC.
That's correct. Good morning.
That's a beautiful piece behind you. What is that a sculpture?
No, it's a painting.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Harry Gates is an American painter here, professor of, I think, George Washington University.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
We recently collaborated on a feature in our new late fall issue that we'll be talking about, but in talking to Jose and Paul, I know that they've pivoted really well during the pandemic and are working with clients and completing projects despite many challenges. And they've made time to meet us this morning, even though they've had, I think, 3 installations this week. Can you tell us quickly a little bit about what the projects are?
Yeah, it's been a busy week for sure.
Yeah.
One's a great project here in Washington, D.C. in the Mass Avenue, Embassy Row area. Mm-hmm. It was a former Mellon home. It was where he stored his artwork that most of it can be seen here at the National Gallery now. And our clients chose us working with Barnes Vance to renovate this house. It really hadn't been renovated in many, many years. And so it's been a long project that's now coming, we're getting it finalized. It's been about 3 years now. So we're really excited. A lot of the things we're opening up, it looks like Christmas.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I'm going to share our screen now and we can introduce a project if you've seen the magazine. This is a gorgeous home. This was a project by way of introduction. It's the home of a couple in the Kalorama area. They were downsizing from a very large, very traditional home in the suburbs. And the home they purchased had been updated, so no major construction was needed. But as you can see, it was really a blank shell with absolutely no personality or character. And Jose and Paul came in and kind of really reimagined these spaces. It's pretty incredible to see the transformation. So these are shots of the family room, which opens to this courtyard. And here is the finished space. Jose, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what the goals were of the project.
Yes, projects or renovations are always so exciting because you are dealing with an existing space versus new construction. Mm-hmm. So in this case, they were moving from a big house to a smaller space. The proportions were nice. We needed to, a lot of the program was about storage, about, paring down mm-hmm. from everything that they had and kind of make it a little bit more contemporary, more modern, which I think is a trend that a lot of people are doing right now. And so the program was just to create a very, peaceful environment for them, for the two of them, but also to entertain their family.
Right. How did the process get started, Paul? Where did you maybe you can just describe us how you and the clients kind of arrived at this very detailed plan?
Well, we knew they were coming from a much more traditional home, a very, very traditional, almost colonial home. And it was beautiful. It had been done maybe 20 years ago, and they had really fine furniture and antiques, but they definitely wanted this home to be something that was comfortable, and they asked for something what we determined as soft contemporary, nothing hard edge, nothing overly dramatic, but they wanted something that felt comfortable for them and mm-hmm. family and entertaining. Mm-hmm. And the process took a little bit longer. We started and did a full comprehensive master plan for the house. And then one of their daughters decided to get married. And so we took a little hiatus while the wife helped plan that. And which was a really good thing for us, because they got to come to the house, see how it was working for them, and then they decided that maybe this room where you're seeing right now is the family room, but that had been the level where the kitchen was before. Mm-hmm. And then the more formal living room was above, and then the master bedroom above that. And they really felt like how they would live in this house, that the master level and the kitchen level should be closer. Mm-hmm. So then the whole plan changed. We had to back up a little bit and restart the design process so that we moved the kitchen from this floor up a level. Mm-hmm. So they would just be traveling between two floors on a regular basis. And so in your before picture, you saw a little glimpse of the kitchen and then some storage of it. So that was all taken out. But on this floor, then we felt like if they're going to entertain right off of that garden, it might be nice to have a little maybe a smaller kitchen. We called it the auxiliary kitchen, that on a daily basis serves as a bar. Mm-hmm. But if they're catering more important events, that would give them a staging area for the caterers and help with the circulation. So
Jose, how do you work together, and what would be sort of your starting off point? I know so much dialogue goes into creating a room like this, but do you tend to start with the rug or flooring and work up, or what is your process like on a room such as this?
We start with the floor plan. I think is the key generator of the ideas. I think starting the floor plans, how it's going to circulate, what are the focal points. So the floor plan is definitely critical. And then we start with, in this case, we photographed the house left and right. So we started analyzing all the photography, and great part of the process for me is almost like painting or drawing is almost creating these vignettes, these compositions. Mm-hmm. And so, looking at the pictures, looking at the spaces in pictures in photography is so much helpful, and so we start sketching, and the sketches then goes into finding the actual furniture, the actual carpets, and all of that. There is a little bit of in the research when you find an amazing carpet or an amazing chair that you go, wow, we should use this, and this starts to generate all their ideas. But in general, I think the floor plan is the key for us.
But I think it's also an understanding of what the client's program is, or helping them define what is maybe the best way they could use this space.
Right.
And for example, this family room here, we felt as if they're doing a large dinner party or a more formal dinner party, this would be the area that it might happen. So we might take out some of the chairs, the ottomans, and we had a center table originally that was going to expand, that maybe you know, could go from almost from sofa to sofa and seat a lot of people around it. And because the house does not have a true dedicated formal dining room, as you'll see, we'll go up into the kitchen later. But then in talking about it, we decided that this size, you know, a smaller, this is probably close to a, say, 45-inch diameter table, works well for 4 people, which is more of their daily basis use. And they have 4 chairs around it for dinner off of the terrace, or card playing or something like that. And so if they're ever having a large dinner party, we would just dot the room with other draped tables, and that would help for circulation, both getting in and out of the terrace, and for servers and the like. But this table was very special in that in our development of it, we were working with Keith Fritz, who's a master cabinet maker, and he has beautiful wood finishes, and he had it's made out of a eucalyptus wood, a veneered top in a starburst radial pattern, which is really nice because the eucalyptus wood is has a special meaning for the client. So that is sort of an architectural element in the room with the columns. And then the room is very much a symmetrical plan with the sofas, symmetrical sofas on either end, and these sort of very simple brass lamps that are sort of the columns in the 4 corners of the space.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. And I
Thank
love
you.
how the art kind of makes it come alive too. What was your process of choosing art for the room?
Well, the clients actually asked to do that at the end. They said they really wanted to get the house together, which we did. We did a full installation, and then they wanted to try. And so they had a relationship with Merritt Galleries in Bethesda before. And so these pieces, Merritt was gracious and I think they started first with photo montage or photoshopping the pieces into photography of the room. And then the clients maybe went and saw some of the pieces, and we commented on that. But then they actually brought it out for them to test in the space, which really makes a huge difference. Sometimes, you know, it can be a beautiful and perfect painting, but, you know, if it has a certain type of surface treatment and the type of light, the reflection just really ruins it. So that was great working with them to help us with that. And then a lot of the other art were things that we brought from the other house. We really utilized those important paintings, and hopefully pared down, made a simpler envelope for them so they read a little bit more contemporary, a little bit lighter than so it's sort of they're getting to experience them anew, those pieces.
One of the themes that sort of came up a lot in our interview for the piece is how you beautifully layered fabrics and different finishes to create a true sense of luxury in the house. Here's another amazing transformation. So here we have the entry and the library. So this is the library is just to the right as people enter the home. And I guess these are your design and inspiration boards here for the.
Exactly. We laid them all out so that they could see how each room flowed from one another. And it's, you know, it's great to also work within the space itself, because so many questions can be answered sort of in real time. we love that if we have the opportunity to meet on the site, because you can really test things in the light, the natural light,
Right.
that you just don't see within your office space or something.
Exactly. Exactly.
And sometimes we leave those boards for them to see at night, or to discuss with them, the family itself, and they get to, because there's so much information when we do these presentations, that it's nice that they have their downtime to like really look at these boards and the materials and kind of digest all these ideas.
Exactly. So this is the foyer, which is an amazing makeover from this previous shot. Jose, maybe you can tell me how this came about, and I believe you all designed the marble console here.
The marble console, yes. This we added the bronze glass panels to the side, and it almost created almost like a floating wall in space, opening up the entry foyer and creating a lot of drama to that floating wall. And in here we have an existing mirror that they had from their previous house, and the two benches. And then we created this amazing kind of large scale marble console to kind of become the console of the entry foyer, but also to kind of like anchor that whole wall.
Right. Yeah, it's really beautiful, and it sets such a nice tone. And then this is the library facing the space, which also has a custom piece, these beautiful sculptural tables. Maybe you can tell me about those, and also what they bring, what sort of custom furniture bring to a space, in your opinion.
Well, the coffee tables are by Solis Betancourt. He's an elderly gentleman. He's been producing this work for years and years. I think he's in his 90s now.
Yeah.
So we were really lucky to have him make these pieces. And we really wanted something that was an artist-made, sort of soulful. So it's something that's very special. And they are sort of kinetic sculpture in a way that you can move them around, and they're sort of amoeba shaped, and one has a cutout that where the cutout is, it's the polished bronze, and then the outer portion has more of a patina to it. So I like things that you can move around and shift around and get a new look, freshen the space to make it a little bit different. But also it's the kind of thing for a larger gathering. They're on casters, so they can be tucked under the piano with ease. But the clients came with this, or we've had this painting from their previous home, and so we wanted to create a very special place for it within the niche. And they also had these first edition books that were very important, so we maintained this little private area at the front of the home.
So some of the elements in the home, such as the rug here, feel very modern and almost 70s in nature. There are these little 70s undertones throughout. Jose, how do you balance traditional elements such as the painting and some of the antiques with the modern? What's your philosophy on that?
I think for us, that combination is always very exciting. But again, just almost like creating a painting or vignette, not just because you have this contrast, they all could work. So, it's maybe 30 years of doing this that you start kind of developing this kind of critical eye where you can marry, traditional with contemporary. This is not the typical entry foyer, as you see. You have the piano, you have sofas, you have books, but this entry foyer became more than that. It became almost like an introduction to the house. It's a room that I think after dinner upstairs or back in the garden, you can come back to this room for, quiet, playing piano, listen to music. I think it's a really exciting room that gets used, versus entry foyers usually is just a little moment and that's it. This becomes like a really interesting room in the house.
Right. Oh, that's great. Yeah, you did such a great job. Maybe we can talk about the different textures, which I think really bring the element of luxury to the home, down from the carpet to the fabrics to the wall coverings and draperies.
Well, on this first floor, the whole entire first floor is wrapped in this silk fabric, and it's got a sort of a horizontal slub to it. So it
Mhm.
adds it's more than just a flat paint. So you're
Right.
starting
We see it.
with a little bit of texture
Mhm.
of a background, but it's the neutral background. And then our larger elements like the sofas, we there might be a little bit of a contrast to them, but we want those to sort of blend into the wall, especially in a smaller scale home like this. Those big pieces can become gangly, so we made those a little bit quieter
Mhm.
to fade into the walls. Whereas then you'll see maybe the pillows on it are more jewel-like,
Mhm.
and those become um, just that and that's got another layer of lushness and richness. But I think by putting together rich exotic woods, a little bit of gilding, ironwork, the silk wall coverings, those rich rug textures, it's a nice layering that makes this well, I guess you could call it a little bit contemporary. I think, quite frankly, I think this is the new traditional
Mhm.
that we're dealing with,
Mhm.
because most people are now, I think, moving to a little bit lighter aesthetic.
Mhm.
But still, this wasn't a client that wanted to give up fine furnishings.
Right.
So the rich, exotic, different materials mixed and blended together, I think, is luxurious.
Also, I think in these pictures you can see the ceiling treatment,
Mhm.
especially there. You can see how we added those wood moldings to the ceiling,
Mhm.
and what this does is just collects all the downlights, the speakers. We use this quite a lot just to create a datum for those kind of necessary downlights.
Mhm.
Uh, Even though we didn't use that many downlights in here in this project, you're
Mhm.
gonna see throughout a lot of use of table lamps and
Mhm.
floor lamps.
Mhm.
The downlights are always very important to highlight the artwork and create a little bit of drama in terms of drapery and things like that. But the ceiling molding is also a really very simple detail that add architecture to the room, but kind of when you look at it, you don't see the downlights as much.
I think what it does is we have a real aversion to ceilings that look like have been hit with a shotgun, with many holes everywhere. So by incorporating all of these mechanical necessities, whether it be the speakers or HVAC ducts or the lighting, if they're organized in this band, it leaves the center portion of the ceiling open and plain and gives your eye a resting point. So it really cleans up the space, I think.
Exactly. No, I agree. It's a really wonderful mechanism, and it also will show up in the kitchen. So this is a space that is upstairs. That, as Paul and Jose mentioned, the main kitchen was moved upstairs. So this was a blank living area, and now there's this incredible kitchen with all custom cabinetry on one side. There's more cabinetry over here, and a beautiful dining area with another Keith Fritz custom table in it. And it's just such a functional and beautiful space. So I think it's fabulous. Jose,
Thank you.
how do you see your clients using this space, whether it's just the two of them at home or a dinner party, when we can hopefully have dinner parties again soon?
So this space is the core of the house, and he loves to cook, and so for him the kitchen was very important, and that's why we moved it to this level, which is very close to the master bedroom.
Mhm.
So this room is a kitchen, is the breakfast room, is their lunch place, is their dining room. Um, they have a TV, that they can listen to news as they are preparing dinner or having lunch. But it's also a very theatrical space. At night, it becomes a total different scenario. And I love, as you mentioned in the article at the beginning, the theater, the staging.
Mhm.
Is very important for us. Like you have stage one is like the kitchen. You're cooking, you're preparing. And so the lighting there has to be very intense. And then act two is the dinner part, and then the nice dimmer, and then the drama comes to the table itself. And so that part for us was really exciting. And to have these host chairs that are like upholstered with arms, so you could use the room. It doesn't feel like a regular dining room. You could go to the corner and have tea or coffee or have a drink. It becomes more of a family room. This also has French doors that open into the courtyard. So you sit down into the courtyard. It's a beautiful, you don't see it in this space in here in this picture, but it has a really beautiful view of their garden,
Right.
which is special.
Yeah. One of the things that I love that you told me about, and we didn't have a photo of it, is how at the conclusion of the project, you work with your clients to design a custom china set to kind of commemorate this new home. And I just love that idea. And it's something that, they'll have for generations. What sort of inspired that, and what is it like?
Well, it's an artist, Marie Dage, and she does hand-painted porcelain dinnerware from Limoges, France. And we were able to work with her through Amano. Adam at Amano in Georgetown represents her. And she has a number of different designs, but we were able to pick the colors that would complement this area. And some has a gilded brush stroke next to a sort of a plum purple. So we really went with our fabric boards, and we're able to pick from her color palette and develop something. And much like the house, the dinnerware set is eclectic, and not all, the salad plate doesn't match the dinner plate. They coordinate. And I think that's another element, that's contemporary. I don't think we no longer dress in with everything, gloves matching, handbag matching, your shoes. We like the eclectic mix, and that's sort of the same thing here in the home.
Right.
I just wanted to say, yes, the homeowner, he is a wonderful cook, and he was very, very much involved, and actually went to test all of the appliances and cook on them at the showroom. So then we were able to incorporate that, and they really do use that. He's a very gregarious fellow, and so the bar stools working, having people there entertaining while he's cooking is important, but you can lower the lights on that area and then come over and have a much more elevated dining. But this is the dining room for the space, so it's no dedicated dining room. So we made finishes that were very durable. And the carpet it's actually a stark carpet with a beautiful sort of charcoal and gold Greek key design. It's hard to see with the sheen on from this photography, but it's an indoor-outdoor carpet. And it's a very plush and luxurious feeling carpet, but very functional for their future grandchildren that will be running around this table as well. So there can be elegance and function.
Speaking of which, this very basic room became this incredible owner's bedroom and suite, which I just find so luxurious, and it's just a wonderful cocoon. It looks so warm. I love the 70s rug with a nod, a shag rug with a nod to the 70s, and other beautiful lush textures. So this is really a quiet, calming place. And this is just part of the owner's suite. I guess there were his and hers bedrooms. Maybe Jose, tell us a little bit about what else is on this floor.
Yeah, this floor is all for the master suite. There is dressing room for his and hers. There is hers and his bathroom. There is a den office that was also really exciting. It's not in the article, but it's a really great space for them to work at night or check emails and just sit quietly within the same floor. I think in here, this floor was very challenging. Again, moving from a bigger house, we had to sacrifice maybe the bedroom size to accommodate, closets, which are really important, storage, and the bathroom are extremely right now. So we also created the columns of antique mirror, bronze mirrors on the side here, just to open up the space, creating a floating wall for where the Christian Vieira bed is.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
It was like sort of designing for a boat. A lot of program had to happen on this floor to get the bathrooms that they wanted with all the function and things. So yes, the bedroom is maybe a little bit smaller, but I think it works beautifully. And it's small but luxurious.
Yeah. How do you, speaking of efficiency, how do you help clients when they're downsizing to kind of decide what beloved pieces are going to the new house and what needs to be given away, Jose?
Most of the time our work is the most personal element. And so we try to use a lot of that in no matter where they go. I think it's important. It's a very personal element. Accessories, the china, things like that are very important. In this case, they were willing to, they had other properties, so they were willing to depart from some of the antiques and create something a little more modern and simple, as we have been talking about. But I will say artwork is just the critical thing. There was a couple of very important elements in terms of the mirrors and the benches and wall sconces that they were very dear to, and we tried to incorporate all of that. But it's a difficult process because when you live in a house for so long, all of this furniture becomes very personal.
Right.
But I think it needs a lot of courage when you do this kind of downsizing, where you do have to kind of let things go.
Right.
And so, as Paul mentioned at the beginning, that doesn't mean you're scaling down, but you're not sacrificing in terms of luxury and in terms of detail. Right. So I think it was really exciting that way. It was difficult for them. I could tell that they were used to a different life, but we needed to make this as exciting and as inviting. Right. And I think we kind of were successful doing that.
I think we were quite successful. So I'm happy that we can share one room that we didn't have space for in our feature, is this very glamorous powder room, and I just love it. And it's fun to see it, at least in this presentation. Paul, tell me what the idea was here, and I think it is kind of has a note of glamour, which the whole project really does.
Well, the walls are a really exciting wall covering that is made from chips or slivers of mica that are sewn to the backing. It's sort of a champagne colored mica, and that's the envelope. And what we liked about it is it still allowed, which you can see in the reflection of the mirror, it's a bronze piece that was important to them that we hung on the wall. And so it's just a little bit lighter than that. But it relates to, say, the highlights in that bronze sculpture. And then we did want an element of surprise. So we covered the ceiling in this wisteria wall covering, which is a nod to the beautiful landscape that Richard Ahrens did in that courtyard. He's a master at able to put gardens in that look like they've always been there. This was a barren and stripped and just a brick wall surroundings. It was sort of a nothingness garden, and he comes in sort of one weekend, and it was just looked like it had always been there. But he put these amazing, very mature white hydrangea growing up and over the doorway. And so when we saw that go in, and then I don't know how we came across this wall covering. We thought that would be just a little element of surprise. So when you visit the powder room.
Oh, it's fabulous. Well, we can keep talking all day. I want to invite our participants to ask questions in the Q&A section. If anyone has a question, please feel free. As I can keep talking, but we welcome questions. I know that, you know, we've all changed the way we're using our homes, and everybody has been home, as I mentioned, for more or less since March. Most people, a lot of people have been home and kind of reviewing their homes in a different way. I'd love to get both of your opinions on how you think the pandemic will change the way we use our homes or think of our homes now and going forward, because hopefully this will be behind us at this time next year.
Absolutely.
Jose?
For me, having a desk, having a work area has become a very critical element for a lot of our clients. So we have been adding a lot of these kind of designated areas throughout the different projects. For me here, that has been the most critical thing. I have a small office here, but I kind of expanded into the dining room area because I could not, you know, I needed more light. And so the idea of having a workspace at home, I think, has become very, very important. Mm-hmm. And the technology to be connected to the office and to be connected to everybody that works in the office is just so critical. Right. And the other thing that is very important is the entry foyer. I think the entry foyer, after a couple of weeks, we realized that it became this room where we took our shoes off, we had gloves, we had hand sanitization, we had all this mask and all of that, and to kind of very quickly modify the space to hide and accommodate all these things that are happening now. It's also something that is going to probably stay for a little bit. You know, I think in terms of that room that is always the place where you come in, you're welcome, but you also have to like.
You need a place for all these extra things, kind of.
Exactly.
And I think we've seen a number of our clients over the years have liked to do their homes shoeless homes. So I think that's sort of a new thing. We're seeing much more of it now through the pandemic, that people don't want you to wear the shoes in the house and bring certain elements in. So I think probably our entry foyers are going to need to address, you know, a place to sit down, take off your shoes, a place to store the shoes, shelves and things that, and the sanitizer. I think that's something that's
right.
Going to stay for a while.
Right. Along these lines, Katie Pope has asked us, beautiful images. Also with the pandemic, are you finding more clients revisiting their outdoor spaces? I've heard a lot of landscape designers say that they've been very busy.
That's correct.
It's certainly, I think, with people staying at home, and those who have the luxury of having larger homes with pools and things, we've been coming up with new ways to refreshen those, to make it new. You know, they want to keep their kids at home and excited about being at home. So they're right. And that's something that's sort of, we've been working with a lot of people where their children are, and now maybe they're just at home more, but the kids are being involved in the design decisions and putting in their preferences for, you know, color palettes and style. So that's been an interesting and sort of exciting for us. I always like to, you know, see what's exciting to the new generations.
Right. We have a question from a reader in Chicago who just installed white sliding doors with grids in her family room and wants to put a brushed nickel handle instead of white. The curtains are hanging from a brushed nickel rod, and the frame around the fireplace is brushed nickel. The vibe in the room is casual. So I guess I'm not sure what the question was, or is that okay, I guess, to add brushed nickel?
I think it sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. We have a few other questions. Uh, we have a question from a lighting showroom in Philly. I love that we have such a national viewing. I love the idea to use ceiling moldings. I was curious if there was a centerpiece chandelier. I don't see any ceiling fixtures, just the recess. Is this a trend for apartment dwelling? So this is actually a townhome, but
Well, we do have that beautiful Lindsay Edelman sort of sculptural light over the dining table. But in general, I'll say that this house doesn't have huge ceiling heights.
mhm,
So we limited it, I guess, and, but I love using beautiful pendants and chandeliers. I don't see, it was just a choice here, and maybe it kept the space more open in some other areas. But I think the Lindsay Edelman really here helped uh, uh, delineate what's dining and what's kitchen,
yeah,
and help with the transition that we were
yeah.
trying to achieve there.
It's also really glamorous and like a sculpture in itself. Brian Fell would like to know, hi Brian, how do you balance clients who need ergonomic elements of a home office in an open concept that might affect the overall design of your room, such as stand-up desk or Aeron chairs?
Well, in this house, we dedicated very tight space uh, to a very functional office, and uh, you know it. In hindsight, they both actually gravitate to it because we're so connected to our computers, and they are uh, I think came from almost were workaholics, from what I understand in their previous life. So they're very much connected. But what we did, it's in on a daily basis. It's open to all of this space, but we did pocket doors, so you can just close it all off.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't believe that they did the Aeron chair, but you understand why people want the comfort. That's very important if you're sitting in that type of a chair all day long.
Mhm.
But we've also dedicated areas where it might even be a ripple fold drape that just closes over it. So
Mhm.
when you are entertaining, because most of the time you're not working and using that space while you're entertaining, so to be able to close it off, because there is something functional about leaving your papers out where they need to be so you can access it later, and that it's something that you have to address. And then there are sometimes you can elevate some of the finishes on the functional
Furniture.
those standing desks.
Another participant, designer Vicky Lal, noticed that in the kitchen and dining area there is a curtain. Jose, what is? She asked if that was for an aesthetic, or does that also serves a function? Correct.
Yes, it divides that section of the house from a bar and then the TV family room area. Uh, that space is almost like a stair hall, let's put it that way, that divides the house in two. The drapery helps you to create that drama, to delineate the dining room kitchen area from the stair hall. It also adds a lot of softness and drama to the space. They could undo this and close the drapery if they want to, but in a regular basis, that's a really nice element to divide the spaces. We use that a lot, mostly interior spaces like that, where it has a soft delineation. It
Right.
becomes, the drapery becomes almost architecture.
Right. An anonymous attendee says he or she loves the rugs in all of these rooms. Are you finding clients want more carpeting and full room rugs versus hardwood flooring? So I also fell in love with every rug in this room. I had, in the actual 70s, I had a shag rug in my bedroom. That's
Um,
amazing that I
well, on the master suite level, we did do wall to wall, with the shag,
uh-huh.
and that's I don't know if it's a trend, but we're sort of seeing. We used to never do wall to wall. It was just felt like it was sort of a no-no. Uh, but it seems like now the quieter, more cocoon-like for a bedroom, that people are comfortable with doing the wall to wall. And also that happens, I think, in smaller spaces, to leave a margin of wood showing. It sort of reduces the usable space of furnishing it. So you actually can maximize by taking the carpeting all the way to the wall. But the rest of the home, it's mostly area carpets.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. I think they really help complete the rooms and really make a statement. This bold graphic one, and then this wonderful one in the family room as well.
Yeah, that's somewhat of a traditional, almost a damask, bohemian damask pattern, but the scale is so large that it becomes contemporary.
Michael Sorry would like to know, after the floor plan, does artwork or architecture dictate your stunning designs?
Well, it's important if we have specific pieces to incorporate, we need to build around it to make sure the walls are braced to maybe hold a heavy piece, and certainly that we're incorporating lighting that will accommodate. So while the clients asked to wait on the artwork, as we talked earlier, we knew that it was going to be a large-scale painting in this area. We were suggesting that this is a room for a painting, and so we incorporated lighting to accommodate, you know, something like that. So definitely we have to get involved in the architecture to provide those necessities. But sometimes you know that it's going to be more of a sculptural wall or something. So blocking and bracing for that is important.
Right. Well, I think that concludes our talk. We don't have any further questions, but we do have a wonderful statement from someone in Ireland who I think is a friend of Jose and Paul. Sybil Curley says, "A comment, not a question," from Sybil Curley in Ireland. "Jose and Paul, wonderful to see your amazing work again. Want to reach out and touch all the materials, as do all of us. As always, your spaces say luxury and calm. Namaste."
Thank you.
Statement, and that's a great way to kind of wrap up our chat. It was such a treat. I thank you so much. I feel like I got to know both of you and this home even more, and I really appreciate your time today. If anyone else has questions for Jose and Paul, they can Instagram them.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Will you both be staying local for Thanksgiving?
I think I'm going to be in New Jersey.
I'm going to be home. I think this is the most quiet Thanksgiving, but it's going to be fine. And thank you again for the magazine. The article is so beautifully written. I really enjoy every aspect about it. Thank you.
It was an honor. It was a lot of fun to write and work with both of you. Well, I wish you both and your families and loved ones and all of our attendees a safe and happy and healthy Thanksgiving.